Hey there. I know, I hit you pretty hard there in that first element. I know that. But I'm not sorry though. Look, your beliefs impact everything you think and do, and they most certainly affect your finances and the decisions you make and don't make with your money. Your beliefs are a major reason why you've been on Pain Island for so long. That's why I wanted to hit you with that right out of the gate, because it sets the stage for everything else we'll be doing together. So before we get into element number 2 in Thrive Path, I want to step back for a moment and I want to give you a bit of a bird's eye view of things. And I want to put the sort of the overall context of Thrive Path so you understand it and you understand why this is so critical to your future self. I mean, without the understanding, much of this journey you're about to take may not make any sense or be clear in your mind. And you'll have a much harder time achieving lasting financial freedom and peace of mind. Plus, it will be instrumental when explaining what you're doing and why to others. So please, please pay close attention to these next 4 parts. I cannot stress enough the importance. All right, so let's do this. The first thing I want you to do is I want to ask you something. Let me ask you, are you happy? Are you happy with your life right now? Are you happy with your financial life at this very moment? And lastly, is just getting by how you want to live your life? Let me put it to you succinctly, or as simple and as abrupt as I possibly can. You've been programmed to fail financially. That's right. And it's not your fault. And I want you to understand something here. You're going to hear some things repeated many, many times throughout this course. And it's for good reason. And it's by design that I do that. It all needs to be repeated. Nothing about what you've learned, been taught, or researched about finances has really helped you live the kind of life you deserve to live. This has been going on for generations. It's nothing new. But unfortunately, it has only gotten worse over the past 10, 20, or even 30 years. And until now, no other financial expert has tapped into that dark force that so powerfully affects everything you do. They give you instructions, a manual to follow, step-by-step guides, and overwhelm you with information. But what they can't give you are the keys that unlock the shackles that are holding you down. So let me stop here for a moment. And right now, I want you to take a moment and close your eyes while I take you through this visionary process. So go ahead and close your eyes. I want you to imagine a camera watching your life, recording every single moment. It sees you sitting down in a luxurious recliner. You have all the comforts you could ever want. All the toys, the electronics, the flat screen TV, the high-end sound systems, and the really nice furniture. It's a beautiful setting you're in. So go ahead and get that vision in your head. Now, the camera begins to pan out. You see the gorgeous fireplace, the immaculate living spaces, your smiling family, and everyone seems happy. Do you have that vision in your mind? But as that view continues to expand, we start to see a change in the environment. Everything around you in the immediate moment is the same, but about 6 feet up, we start to see gray cinder block walls. And we pan out even more, and the outline of a cutaway emerges high up on a wall. You see rusty bars that guard a narrow opening. It's a small window to let some light in. And as the camera pans out even further, you see another set of metal bars. And what you now see is a prison. And sadly, you're in it. Take a moment and visualize this. Now, let's imagine you get up from that recliner and you stroll away from your family and the nice couch you're lounging on. You walk along the living room floor and settle in at those metal bars. You rest your arms on that cold steel as your hands dangle between those round, impenetrable forces. You look longingly to the left and then to the right, and there's a look of sorrow on your face. And you can see either side of you and across from you, and there are other people trapped in that same prison. You're not alone. And quickly, the reality finally hits you between the eyes. That's been pressing harder and harder with each passing day. It's a reality that you're never going to get out of this situation. A reality that you built around yourself, not because of anything you did wrong, but because of everything you were taught. And you can now see yourself sitting inside this prison, surrounded by walls for the rest of your life. But suddenly, you look over and you see keys hanging on a hook, and they're not even teasing you. They're not across the hall. They're right next to your door. And all you need to do is reach through, grab them, and unlock your cell door. So go ahead and open your eyes now. What I'm getting at here is that you have the keys to set yourself free right now. And you being here, starting this amazing journey with me, is a sign that you truly want out of this prison. And I'm going to give you those keys and guide you through your escape. And you've already started with the first element, right? Those destructive beliefs that are destroying your life. Now, let me explain a couple of things first. When you were envisioning that scene and you were imagining yourself trapped in that prison cell, most of the time we're all trapped in some kind of prison and we don't even know it. Those prison walls and steel bars are invisible to us. And that's the most frightening part of all of this. Most of us aren't even really allowed to see it. That's because we were never told the truth. And I will tell you, the truth is phenomenal. It's liberating, it's uplifting, and it's absolutely inspirational. Remember what I said in the first element? The overwhelming majority of people today are living paycheck to paycheck. And that's not an exaggeration. Nearly 8 out of 10 full-time working adults, regardless of how much money they make, are living paycheck to paycheck. And that crosses socioeconomic classes and races and religions and nationalities and cultures and everything else. Look, if they're making this, they're spending this. And if they're making this, they're spending this. Look, I've worked with a lot of high-income earners, and they're just as broke as those in the lowest income brackets. That's right. 8 out of 10 full-time working adults, high earners and low earners, are struggling just to make ends meet. They're one emergency expense away from not being able to pay their mortgage, their rent, their car payment, or even put food on the table, keep the heat on, and so forth. It's absolutely staggering, and it's absolutely unnecessary. Millions upon millions upon millions of people all over the world are earning more than enough to live a decent, happy, comfortable life, but yet they continue to struggle. Why is that? Well, part of it is that psychological prison they're trapped in. Every single one of us starts off stuck in a cell, looking at this shut door locked tight and failing to realize we could be set free if we only believed that it was possible. Because 8 out of 10 people are living paycheck to paycheck, I'm going to ask you this simple question. Are you happy living paycheck to paycheck or close to it? Look, you might be earning $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, $400,000 a year, or somewhere in between, maybe even more. It doesn't matter. Most full-time working adults today are living paycheck to paycheck. You got to wrap your head around that reality. It's huge. Is that something that makes you happy? Of course not. You're tired of it. You're tired of stressing. You're tired of worrying. You're tired of lying, hiding the truth from your spouse, partner, friends, family, coworkers, and everyone else around you. You're tired of losing sleep and the feeling that tightness in your chest and the headaches and the nausea, the doubt, and of course the fear. You're tired of seeing that credit card bill arrive every single month, or that car payment that's due, the mortgage payment, you name it. Frankly, you're just tired of being tired, and I get it. I've seen it with clients over and over throughout the years. And for over 25 years, I've been helping people just like you, or so I thought I was. I gave them the advice. I gave them the great advice, but sadly, most of them would not adhere to the financial plan we all agreed upon. And in a day, or maybe a week or a few weeks, most would end up back to the same old financial habits that got them in trouble in the first place, back to living on Pain Island. Does that sound familiar? They were sitting in that prison cell, and I showed them what I thought were the right keys. But it got to the point where I felt like I was doing nothing more than banging my head against the wall. My clients simply were not changing. It was beyond frustrating, and I wanted to scream every single day. And full confession, I came very close to leaving the industry altogether. was a very difficult time in my life. I remember it very well. I was dealing with a lot of frustration and even depression. I simply could not get through to my clients. I sat there and explained to them time and time again, sitting in my office or in their dining room or living room of their house, going over their finances, pointing out all the flaws, the errors, the issues that needed to be resolved. And they would nod and they would agree and they would accept what I was telling them. But the minute they walked out of my office or I left their house, it was as though they forgot everything we discussed. I couldn't understand it. And I was at wit's end. And in the end, and thankfully, I had a revelation. That revelation led to what would become the most revolutionary, groundbreaking, uplifting, and freedom-inducing journey of my life. It was amazing. And that's what led to ThrivePath. Okay, let me pause here to tell you a little bit about myself. It's probably about time you had a better understanding of my experience, credentials, history, and who I am. I'm John MacGregor, as you know, certified financial planner and an expert in this field of personal finance. I've been working with people within the financial industry for over a quarter of a century. It's hard to admit that. I've circled the financial globe and I've seen this industry from a multitude of angles. I've supported, assisted, advised, counseled, and I've held the hands of multimillionaires and those people that are struggling just to make ends meet. I've attended hundreds, if not thousands of seminars and courses from some of the world's most elite, well-respected financial organizations. I've received the credentials from various esteemed universities, one being the Wharton School of Finance. I've been given multiple awards for my achievements and dedication to this field of personal finance. And I've been blessed to have traveled the world, speaking at conferences to thousands of people. And what I've discovered in each and every milestone was this question I would always ask myself: is there a better way? Was there something I was missing? And it turned out there was. There's been something we've all missed for generations. Look, you're not happy struggling, period. And that's why you're here. That's what I realized. And that's clear, and I know it is, and you know it is. Even if you're not exactly living paycheck to paycheck, maybe you got $10,000 in savings or $100,000 of savings or a pretty good retirement plan at work, but there's still stress grabbing at you. It's all rooted in the same problem. What you want is to attain financial freedom and peace of mind, right? That's what we all desire. I want to turn the page here, and I want you to think about something else right now. And that's your health, your overall health. Look, any research on this topic will tell you money is the number one cause of stress. That's right. Your money problems are causing you to have a lot of stress and anxiety in your life, if you haven't already noticed. And I think you know what I'm talking about here. And here's the deal. Stress is the leading cause of our most deadly diseases and health ailments. But here's the bigger problem. Your money problems cause chronic and prolonged stress, which is much different than temporary stress. You know, they call stress the silent killer. Do you know why? Because it is. And based on all the research, money is the key source of it all. Look, most stress comes and goes, right? You're running late for a meeting. You're stuck in traffic. You're on your first date. Remember how stressful those moments were? You're dealing with a stressful situation at work. All of this is short term. It comes and it goes. Well, money stress is different. Money stress simply doesn't go away on its own. It's chronic and prolonged. And our bodies were never designed to handle ongoing, never-ending chronic stress. That's what causes our bodies to break down at the cellular level. And these cells, your cells, are unable to repair themselves under chronic stress. And when your cells break down, that's what leads to disease and health problems. That's why Time magazine said, stress is America's #1 health problem. And given my travels around the world and what I've seen, I would say stress is the world's #1 health problem. And here's what I mean. Chronic stress is linked to the 6 leading causes of death: heart disease, cancer, lung ailments, accidents, cirrhosis of the liver, and suicide. Stress can affect your brain, cause blood sugar imbalances, decrease muscle tissue. Stress causes high blood pressure, it reduces your immunity, and it forces people into overeating. There's an increased risk of substance abuse as a result of stress, elevated levels of irritability, nervousness, migraines, lack of sleep, stomach ulcers, back pain, lack of motivation, fatigue, overwhelmed, and depression. I could just keep going on. And I mentioned lack of sleep. Insomnia is a huge issue with people, and stress around money is its leading cause. You know, losing a night's sleep will drop your IQ by a significant number of points. And studies have shown that losing an entire night's sleep can lead up to 1 standard deviation loss on your IQ. In other words, you're effectively operating with the equivalent of a learning disability when you lose a night of sleep. So, if stress is the leading cause of our most deadly diseases and people's financial problems are the leading cause of stress, you would then surmise that financial problems in our society are a leading cause of our most serious health issues, and most people don't even know it's happening. Think about this. More than 75% of all physician office visits are for stress-related ailments and complaints. That's right. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention estimates that stress accounts for 75% of all doctor visits. It's incredible. Do you see the connection now and why I say this is a life or death issue? And when you consider I've stated before that 78% of people are living paycheck to paycheck, in other words, 78% of people are living with a high level of stress, then I will make a strong case that this is an epidemic bigger than all diseases combined. And all of this is because people have been programmed to fail with their money. And the resources available, in other words, the traditional methods of financial guidance, simply does not work. Believe me, I've seen it firsthand for over 25 years. And let's not forget, money is the number one reason people get divorced and relationships fall apart. And what do you think that leads to? That usually means more stress. And that's why we launched ThrivePath. So, are you ready for some more kerosene on this fire I just lit? Look, the epidemic of obesity continues to spiral out of control. But here's the thing, few people really care deep down about their internal health. Look, I know they do, but they only care when something doesn't feel right. They have a pain that doesn't go away, an obscene looking lump on their neck, and they immediately think of the word cancer. But what they do care about, what they really care about, is how they look in the mirror or in a bathing suit, right? Let's be honest. Some people spend more on diet fads than they would ever spend on their health care. But here's the deal. Did you know that one of the driving factors why so many people are overweight, especially in their abdominal area? Well, it's a hormone called cortisol, also known as the stress hormone. Think of cortisol as nature's built-in alarm system. It's your body's main stress hormone. It works with certain parts of your brain to control your mood, your motivation, and fear. I mean, it sounds good, right? Well, it can be. But too much cortisol can be a big problem. And one of them is weight gain. That's right. Why? Well, increased levels of cortisol cause higher insulin levels, which causes your blood sugar to drop. And the end result of these actions can be an increase in appetite and cause cravings for sweet, high-fat, and salty foods. And with elevated cortisol in your system, the body also produces less testosterone, leading to a decrease in muscle mass. And with less testosterone to build muscle mass, your body starts to burn fewer calories. And over time, too much cortisol throws your blood sugar levels out of whack, interrupts your sleep. You ever had that feeling, a tired but wired feeling? It also leads to a feeling of anxiety, depression, and it even affects wound healing. And chronically high levels of cortisol can even cause us to age quicker. And here's where people really freak out. Cortisol may not only promote weight gain, but it can also affect where you put the weight on. That's right. High levels of cortisol puts extra fat on our bellies. Why? Well, we have more cortisol receptors in our abdomen than any other area of fat storage. In other words, our bellies have 4 times more doorways for cortisol to act on our fat cells. That's why many people call cortisol the belly fat hormone. And if you haven't figured it out by now, which I'm sure you have, guess what? Stress causes cortisol. So did you ever think that your money problems are why you can't lose weight? And why no matter how hard you try, you continue to put weight on in that mid area? Did you ever think that your financial state could be one of the primary reasons you're not healthy? Why you might be overweight? And that it could be literally killing you? Look, it is an epidemic and it is such a major problem. I'm thoroughly amazed that more people have not been sounding the alarm about these things. Do you finally see the impact this is having on your life and even the people you know and the people you love? So, that's a lot. Let's reflect for a moment. I'm going to give you a moment or two to think about this next question. Here it is. Do you want to continue living the life you're currently living? Let me repeat that. Do you want to continue living the life you're currently living? This is a question that I believe hits right on the money. You're taking this course, so the answer is pretty clear, I think, and I certainly hope so. And I hope I know the answer, which is no, you don't. And you know what? You're not alone. Maybe you haven't recognized the impact stress is having on your health, your life, and relationships, and everything else going on. Or maybe you did. Maybe you do. And perhaps you're one of those millions of people who've gone to the other courses. Perhaps you've taken other seminars and looked at and followed other financial experts on their podcasts or their YouTube videos, what they call the financial universities, but you still haven't found peace. And I'm going to tell you why. What they gave you wasn't bad. It was information and perhaps a few basic tools. But what you needed, what ThrivePath offers, is a transformation of your entire life. What I'm going to uncover for you in this incredible journey we're on together, is the answer to some of the most important questions you'll ever ask about your life. Tools like the Snowball Debt Repayment Program or the how-to books or investment strategies and so on, they all certainly have their place, but they don't create any long-term and consistent change in you. You could follow them and dig your way out of debt over the course of a few years, but what often happens is that those people end up back in debt, back taking part in the same bad habits, and in many cases in a worse situation than they were the first time around. And here's what I'm talking about. This concept I'm going to share with you in part 2 is the key why you are where you are. It's the missing piece that sets the framework for everything this program is about. It boils down to whether you're living above or below the line. And very soon you'll discover what that means and what it looks like shortly. Then you'll see why it's so important to tap into your mind to be more aware of every decision you make. This is the beginning of a complete transformation of your life. And I know you don't want to continue the life you're currently living. And I know you want the keys. The reason my clients were not changing, no matter how much counsel, advice, or guidance I gave them, and the reason I was beyond frustrated and very tempted to give up, was because I was using the wrong keys. And that's what ThrivePath is all about. The keys are now in your hands, but the answer on how to reach them is rooted in science. That's the ThrivePath difference. Science. I can't set you free, nor can anyone else. You are the only one who can do it. And if you're truly ready to stop being a victim and instead become a victor, ThrivePath is the light that will show you those keys that will unlock the cell you've been imprisoned in all these years. This is far more than money in your bank account. This was designed to change your life forever. And I'm going to guide you every step of the way. All right, let's get into it. The next 4 activities will incorporate short videos for you to watch. These videos have been specifically chosen for you to set the context around ThrivePath and your journey. They are meant to get you thinking in the right direction and contemplating your life today versus your life in the future. And what you'll find is an underlying theme amongst all of them, which is mindset. Those who are successful and hence wealthy have a completely different mindset than those that don't. And here's the key. That mindset exists in you right now, and we are going to unleash it together. So as you go through these videos, I want you to think about your life and how your life compares to the message that is being delivered. I want you to turn everything off so there are no distractions. And I want you to specifically think about your financial life in the here and the now versus where you want it to be, where you can be, and where you deserve to be. These are very powerful, so please take this seriously. This first video is titled The Mindset of High Achievers, featuring various people who are doing amazing things in this world, and one of which is my close friend, Robert Kiyosaki. Pay close attention to what these people are saying and their keys to their success, how they are pursuing what is deeply meaningful to them at their core, their true purpose in life. And when you're done, I want you to take 15 to 20 minutes or however long it takes. And I want you to write down what you're feeling and have been feeling about your life up to this point. And I want you to ask yourself, what were the key takeaways of that video for you? What did you notice about these high achievers? You went through the first element, focused on harmful beliefs. What did you notice about their beliefs? And what do you think the key is to their success? Use the video as a way to kind of reflect on your life as a whole. And I'm talking not just financially, but in your relationships, your health, your outlook on the future, and everything else. This will be extremely important later on, so please be diligent and write down how you're feeling about all these aspects of your life. And take as long as you need, but please don't skip this. When I ask you to trust, I mean it. This is going to impact you later on, so trust me here. These videos are designed to open your mind to a brand new reality that's absolutely possible for you to achieve. Write down these things on how you feel right now, how you're feeling lately, and how it has affected everything in your life. All right? We are just getting started, and you've already made a ton of progress, whether you realize it or not. Don't forget to keep up with your daily journaling. It's extremely important, and let's keep pushing forward together. I'll see you in part 2, the sheep and the wolves, upward and onward.